Hello and welcome to episode 50 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and someone who can't remember being 50, as it was so long ago. Hello, Mark.
Hiya.
A chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sport, and wild wanderings of the self. We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work here is done. I've just run up and down the stairs. I'm absolutely done for.
Yeah.
That was all done on one breath. You're only getting halfway through, you think, I'm not going to get to the end of this.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
For doing a long sentence unaided.
Oh, I need to get back on the bike.
Yeah.
Feeling that.
So here we go.
What?
Plurals and singulars. Thought for the day. The singular of confetti. Confetti is a plural.
Oh, where did this come from?
The depths of my brain.
God, it's murky in there. Well, not really. It's going to unicorns and confetti by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
I'll use it in a sentence. Here you go. Oh, look at the bride. She has a piece of blank on her shoulder.
Okay, I reckon it's confet.
No.
Confetti?
Nope.
Confetti?
No.
Is it? I don't know. Go for, what is it?
Confetto.
Confetto?
Like, how have we got a century of experience in this world and we don't know?
Yeah, you just go, look,
There's
she's
a
got
piece-
confetti on her shoulder. Yeah.
And then someone goes, no, it's only one bit.
Yeah, but it's very rare.
I was very rare. Okay,
So what about if someone
how many
throws
weddings have you been to, roughly?
I don't know.
10?
15.
15. So when you say rare, you'd say what, twice in those 15 since the bride had a singular piece of confetti on her shoulder. You've taken that much notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what? I haven't.
No, you haven't.
You've been...
No, what I'm saying is it could have been happened on numerous occasions, but no one's ever used the word confetti.
Yeah, but no one's ever...
At a wedding.
It's very rarely one piece of confetto comes up in a conversation, does it?
That's because no one knows the word.
Oh, that's a thing. We're getting onto the meat of this, aren't we?
You're outside the church, everything's been thrown,
Yeah.
and there's the bride's aunt and uncle, and the uncle goes, oh, that's strange, she's just got one piece of confetti. And the aunt will go, no,
no
it's
one
not.
will go,
Confetti's a plural.
Idiot. Oh, God, Uncle Johnny's such a knob, isn't he? Shut up, John.
Yeah.
Thicko.
Spoiled my day, says the bride.
No, I shouldn't have invited him.
Just one confetto.
Give it to me.
Perhaps they should throw ice creams. Throw ice creams.
Just one.
Yeah. Lands on the bride's shoulder.
Yeah. Maybe the bride would go, look, I just want confetto at this wedding.
Yeah.
You know, as one of their demands on the invite. Please come to the church with one confetto each.
Part of the recycling and
I want to keep
reuse, recycle, reduce.
Yeah, I want to keep confetti to its minimum.
Yeah.
So everyone bring a confetto.
Yeah.
One piece of confetto, please. Yeah. A piece of rice. It used to be rice, didn't it? And all
I think no, rice then goes... I think we're talking about traditional... Rice isn't really... Rice, that's just throwing foodstuffs, isn't it?
What is confetti
I'm
then?
talking about the cut-up bits of paper,
Yeah, but it could be plastic. Could be anything.
You've been to weddings where they've thrown plastic at the bride?
Yes, before they went all funny about the...
Throwing
funny about the environment.
Like bottles and stuff.
No.
What then?
But confetti used to be plastic, hadn't it? All sorts of bits of... Confetti hasn't always been paper, has it?
False sentiments?
I cannot believe we're even talking about... Yeah. False sincerity.
Poor rhymes.
Oh, I'm totally blowing up. I'm totally off track here now. Can we move on? I'm trying to find out what...
It's probably... we've probably gone to its natural conclusion now.
Thankfully.
Okay.
Coming up in this episode...
I'd have a light blue horseshoe, I think, as my single piece.
What, a paper-based confetto?
Yep.
We've really set the benchmark for this one, haven't we?
It's 50. We've matured.
Yeah, is that right?
Into a well-oiled machine.
Right, okay. Coming up, catch up and bookmarks. Work-life ballet. We've got the meat in our pod sandwich. Does truth really exist? I've told some people we're doing, does truth really exist?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we've told every one of our listeners, to be honest, haven't we?
Yeah, that's true.
But the people who responded to me immediately just went, good luck with that.
Yeah. It's
bold, isn't it?
The research wasn't easy.
You're damn straight. Right, and in brain food, I'm going to ask you something you don't know about yet. So let's get on, shall we? How are you? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, all right. Bit of a heavy week, but...
Still, don't bring it down. It's not all about you.
Okay. So, as we've already established, this is our 50th episode.
Yeah.
You said you were going to bring the bunting.
Oh, yeah. So the bunting, so we're going to put out the bunting.
We talked about confetti and confetto. Yeah. Bunting just seems like the natural
theme,
next.
So this was a phrase, wasn't it, that I mentioned and you...
I can't remember.
Oh, you can't remember it?
No.
Oh,
have you done it? Have we recorded it?
No.
Oh, what,
I promised a couple of times ago where I went, I've got a really good idea, but I'll mention it 3 weeks later.
Yeah, never do.
Like my jokes for the laughter special.
You expecting me to remember everything you say? On and off mic? Is that an expectation you have of everybody?
For someone who trawled back to find the first time I mentioned bottoms, yeah.
Didn't have to trawl far, to be fair.
This was the saying. I don't even know where this came from now. That's not important. We'll say I made it up. The phrase was, or the saying was, if you look at everything through rose-tinted glasses, even red flags look like bunting.
Just let that stew, shall we? Just for a minute. I like that.
It worked on various levels, doesn't it? Because it worked on like a reality level of if you did have...
I think we'll be kind of touching around that idea of kind of bias in a bit when we're talking about truth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to bring that into it anyway, about kind of how things are recorded.
Bring whatever you want into the truth thing, because I'm struggling like fuck.
Right.
It really pressed me intellectually. Seriously, hands up. I was reading stuff and thinking, this is beyond me. I cannot understand this concept.
This is truth. I don't want to know. It's too much for my brain.
But we'll give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl. So what have you, thanks for the quote, excellent quote. What have you learned from the last 50 episodes? What have you learned? What have you loved? What have you hated anything? Have you disliked anything?
I went back and just listened to a couple of random episodes. And like I texted you, I used the comedic timing joke in episode 33. So rehashed.
But you were talking about repetition and comedy. Just keep saying keep saying something until someone laughs.
Anything I disliked or hated? Nothing I've hated.
I went back to the very first one because you said, and I was kind of, my toes were curling even before it started. And it started, I was like, actually, it's all right.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We're a lot more confident about it now, but it wasn't too bad. There was quite a lot in that first one, wasn't there?
It sort of fell in our lap because it almost sounded as if we'd been writing material for a couple of weeks and then launching the first podcast. And the fact you'd never even, you'd never even heard that. I think, my one regret, I think, on these is sometimes when I listen, I wish I was more precise on certain things. I wish there was almost like a sort of interjection that I could send out to everyone and go, when I said that, this is really what I meant. Because in some of the early ones, I think I sometimes come across as so adamant and so like, this is how the world is, believe me. And it's bollocks, really.
But you've got to, I think that's kind of the nature of this, isn't it? We could talk about work in progress, don't we? And you've just got to commit, haven't you, right here and right now? Yeah. You can sit there and work on something for 2 weeks and it almost be over polished or
that's true.
Too much thinking. And I think there's been some real nice stuff that we haven't thought about. It's just come out. Yeah. Then we listen to it and you think about it, stew on it and go, okay, it's all right. Or that could have been slightly better. Or but that's the process, isn't it? It almost feels like they're gone now. Those everything. 1 to 49 are gone. Can't do anything about it. They're committed to history.
Confetti on the breeze.
But I think they've kind of launched in 1,000 ideas, haven't they? Some of those, ill thought through, or well thought through, or spontaneous, or overthought, underthought.
I think sometimes
fact, fiction, everything in between.
I can remember you saying after about 6, we might struggle for material going forward. But
we're struggling for time now, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're still going, aren't we? I didn't think we'd get to 50.
No,
what we thought.
Although I thought it was fairly
not this quick.
No. Well, twice a week? It's going to take 25 weeks. You could do the math.
Show your face.
So, the one thing I was thinking...
I'm not going to say what I'm thinking.
No. The one thing I was thinking...
Actually, should I tell the truth?
What?
Arse.
The one thing I was thinking is that when we just had... Because we haven't really had much communication this week, have we? Due to pressures of life, really.
Yeah, it's true. We haven't actually.
But I was thinking, I think it was only 12 episodes ago, we had our sort of retrospective look, our sort of garage philosophy, wasn't it, on the turn of the year. And I'm thinking, we're in the middle of February, and we sound like some sort of Channel 5 documentary, doesn't it? That, those lists they do of, your 50 best comedic moments. I think I've got to be careful
struggling
about not
for 5, to be honest.
So I don't think necessarily we need to do a retrospective look at everything we've done.
I think the 6 funniest things were probably your jokes in the last episode.
I like your sound effects. And the fact
we haven't talked about it, have we? We haven't even talked about the edit. I put the edit up and I didn't even ask you what I thought. I told you it was up. And that was it. You didn't feed back. I thought, okay.
I said first 18 made me laugh.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I thought you were...
Joe's wasn't a comedy special.
I've had to listen to Joe's 3 times. It's a little bit my research for truth. She's very eloquent, but I'm sometimes struggling to take whole sentences in sometimes. So I'm listening again to just...
Yeah. I've listened... Well, obviously, I listened to her when I spoke to her.
Yeah.
Then I edited it.
Sign of a good interviewer.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Then the edit, which is a bit of a weird listen, and then I listened to it back, and I've heard stuff, but it hadn't sunk in.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably 2 listens. Yeah, it's good. So on that note, a big thanks to Joe.
Yeah.
For speaking to
really
us
enjoyed it
in the last episode. I've just picked up loads more since I've been listening to it. Just a quick reference for the book that she mentioned in that by Jill Edwards. The book is called Living Magically. I'll put these links up on the last episode and this one. And the other book reference was Women Who Run with the Wolves, Contacting the Power of the Woman by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, which again, I'll put the links up for you. Clever Clogs. I had a look at where that came from.
Yeah.
And it seems to be, it's not kind of, there's a couple of theories. I'm hot. Do you mind if I remove my jumper, Mark?
Fair enough. It is warm in here.
Yeah.
I thought I'd taken a risk wearing shorts today with the snow and all, but...
Do you like my hair? Pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look like Syndrome from The Incredibles, if I do say so myself.
Who's that?
It's a film.
I have seen the film. I've seen the film.
You've seen Incredibles?
Yeah.
You know, the baddie in that Syndrome with the big spiky ginger hair.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Clever Clogs.
Yeah.
So boots seem to be an alternative way of saying fellow as far back as the 1600s.
Okay.
Thus, there was smooth boots, meaning a flatterer. And by about 1700, the word sly boots had appeared, meaning a cunning or crafty person. Then I think that's kind of developed. The things that sounded like clever boots would have naturally followed, just became Clever Clogs.
Okay.
So, honestly, what's up? Come on.
No, nothing's up. I just thought it might be something a bit more inspirational or Dutch. I don't know.
You want to cuddle? You all right?
No, I'm fine.
Have you noticed how patina is now cool?
Now what?
Patina. Do you know what patina is?
No.
So patina is a thin layer that variously forms on the surface of copper, brass and bronze and similar metals that tarnish look.
Right.
Certain stones. You know, so kind of it oxidizes and it kind of goes brown and green.
Yeah.
And that's patina. So some of it looks old and rusty, effectively.
Is it verdigris?
Verdigris?
I might just be chucking this out. Why did verdigris come into my head then?
Because you're a wise old fellow, right? Verdigris. I was saying in the last episode about your vocabulary. It's tremendous.
What does it mean?
A bright bluish green encrustation or patina formed on copper or brass by atmospheric oxidation, consisting of basic copper carbonate.
Cool.
I haven't heard of patina. I think you'll find the Latin is verdigris, Damo. You absolute pleb. Sorry, haven't you seen how verdigris is cool now?
Yeah, patina is so yesterday.
Okay, you wait, they'll all be talking about verdigris, won't they?
Yeah.
So like if you get some people actually wrap their cars in a patina effect to make it look rusty.
Yeah.
Or just get an old car out of someone's front garden.
And isn't it putting yogurt on stuff in gardens?
What?
Yeah,
putting
to
yogurt
make stuff
on what?
To get things like moss and things growing. You put yogurt, is it to weather things in gardens?
I don't know. No, it's new on me, that.
That's so cool.
That's your bookmark for next time.
Been cool. What, you mean I've got to research and look it up?
I bet it'd be as boring as Clever Clogs. And would I would argue everyone knows a house that has rusting cars outside of it. Is that a fair comment?
Yep.
Isn't it? There's always a family, because I grew up in a village, and I guess even around here there's probably one house that's got a bunch of cars, bunch of bikes. You've got cars that are still moving outside your house, you know what I mean? You haven't got like cars that are just on bricks and under
that
piles
little grey one at the end of the drive has moss and grass growing inside it on the seats.
Which grey one?
Amelia's car.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Well, the Corsa. Is it a Corsa? Yeah, but there's some I know what you mean. Like an old scimitar or something, and half under a
someone's
cover.
going to restore it. And,
Just hasn't bothered in 30 years. I had a thought about the golf ball on the moon.
Right.
What if Alan Shepard had hit the ball so hard it'd gone round the moon and come past him and landed 24 yards in front of him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's possible?
No.
Okay.
That's
all my bookmarks.
It's a bit like Top Gear here, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
What, just the high octane action?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Have you followed my Insta stories the last few days with my new series of therapist, me, and funny pictures?
Yeah. Is that a mixture of is it all
It's
you?
all my work.
It's good.
Thank you. I'm really pleased with that. I've had good responses.
Have you?
Shall I read the last one out? Because they're all visual except the last one.
Okay.
I'll read it out as you asked.
Yeah.
Therapist.
Did you ask me because I haven't responded with some sarcastic remark or some like middle finger emoji or something like I normally do?
The interesting thing is I wanted to say at the bottom, I haven't just copied these from DJ Fat Tony this last one I did.
Because I think I realised it might have been yours because I know you like to type it up and then screen grab it.
Yeah, they have
It always looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, there's probably a quick way to do it. So I put therapist. So anything in particular causing you worry this week, me. And so everyone that I've done has been that. A therapist saying something and then me saying.
It's nice, yeah.
So anything in particular causing you worry this week. And my response is, a shark could swim faster than me, but I could probably run faster than a shark. So in a triathlon, it would all come down to who is better cyclist. And
You're really tough with that, aren't you?
Yeah, because if you think about it on the running, I definitely run faster than a shark. So that was like poetic license. Yeah. It isn't just down to the...
Yeah. Do you know what I thought?
Or I get eaten in swimming.
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought. I think you better eat before we get out of the water, really.
But it would be in front of me. It wouldn't be behind me. Cause it's
that's assuming he's competitive and not just toying with you. You know what I mean?
Why would he bother?
Why don't he just swim he'd swim at your pace behind you, right?
Why would he enter a triathlon if he wasn't competitive?
It's your joke. It's your world you've just created.
Now you've
created entry guidelines. I mean, clearly he's not going to enter it, is he?
Why? Because he couldn't write the form.
I was just about to enjoy... Yes. He hasn't got access to a computer.
No.
Has he?
No. That's true.
I was just about to enjoy that whole kind of scenario and you've just blown up your own little fantasy there.
Okay.
Anyway, should we get on?
Yeah, let's.
Work-life ballet. Now, this is a big question, Mark.
Big question mark?
I've literally got a massive question mark in the middle of my screen.
Is this our feature that we're going to do? Giant punctuation of 2021?
Yeah, we haven't covered that yet.
Look at that colon. Oh, that was in gut biome. Yeah.
Talking about my operation again.
Yeah. Or, well, no, actually with you, semicolon with what's left.
Semi-sigmoid colon. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, you were saying.
We have a question, a big question mark. Does truth really exist?
Yeah.
Now, this might be a little bit of what you've been looking at in terms of radical acceptance. Potentially, we've had some chats between us in terms of. Well, we've also joked about your run for president.
I don't think we've joked.
No, yeah. Let me rephrase that. I've taken the piss out of you for your want.
We got another state this week as well, didn't we? We're up
have
to
you
35 or 36?
Now. Oh, you got to mention. Have you got one to mention today? Have you?
I don't know which one it was, but we got one. Oh.
Yeah, but you said you were going to mention one in every pod until 2024.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you?
No, well, I'll drop one in surreptitiously.
Okay.
Texas. Did you ever see it on the young ones when they did subliminal messaging?
No.
It was banned at the time.
No.
Supermarkets used to do certain things to encourage you to buy, but also used to pipe in the right way?
Yeah.
No, not verbally. They used to put in the smell of freshly baked bread, even when they didn't have a bakery. But in the young ones, in the episodes of the young ones, there are various...
Oh, some things just pop up.
Yeah, one's a dove. They're not necessarily trying to get you to buy anything, but they just... Because it was a thing at the time that you shouldn't do it, so they did it. But on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory...
Have you seen that?
The first one, not the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah, the one, the Gene Wilder one, yeah.
You know, they have a slightly psychedelic thing.
There's a bit going through the tunnel.
Yeah. Did you see that a chicken has its head cut off with an axe?
Yeah.
Did you?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Or is that a myth
that
we now have to bust?
Seen it. No, I've seen it.
Because it happens so fast.
Yeah.
It's not actually cut off, it's just a headless chicken, is it? Or is actually a chicken gets its head cut off?
From my memory, because I didn't know it was a myth when I saw it. I saw it and it was like basically, I think it's a chicken sort of squawking away. And I don't know if you actually see the deed, but it's clear that it's...
I'm going to watch it now. Should we watch it together?
I just crossed that Grandad's been craning universal credit for 20 years lying in bed.
There you go.
Was it there?
Yeah, do you see it?
No, I was looking at you. Yeah, a white chicken with it. Yeah, I think I was fairly accurate in my description.
Yeah, it was very good, yeah.
All right,
Never noticed that.
R.I.P. KFC.
It's not as grim as you think it would be.
What, for a beheading? It's a child's film. How grim do you want it?
I suppose so.
You think about Brothers Grimm. This was Roald Dahl.
Poor kid fell in a rolled what?
Roald Dahl, not Brothers Grimm.
All right, not Roald Dahl.
Oh, one other thing. I'm not into films.
No shit.
Am I right in this? In that film, every kid who did something naughty was basically punished and taken out of the opportunity to get to the end.
Yeah, but that's every nursery rhyme and every children's story ever made.
No, my intonation suggests I was only halfway through a sentence.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, so...
Spit it out.
The second bit was, so didn't Charlie do something with lemonade and go burping and flying up, which was just as bad as...
What, just as bad as what? As old, what's his fucking chops? Augustus Gloop sticking his face into the chocolate river when he was told explicitly not to, and then did, so he's ruined the chocolate, right? Then he falls in like a muppet.
What did Veruca do?
And then hold on, I'm talking about Augustus Gloop, and then he goes up a tube and causes all sorts of damage.
Yeah.
Imagine the maintenance bill for that.
But Charlie still broke the rules. He went into some lemon...
Huh?
If it's meant to reward good behaviour, he still broke the rules.
This is probably what we're going to be covering in a minute, hopefully. Hopefully this is all part of your plan, building us up to, rules.
Oh, yeah, this isn't random,
What breaking the rules means.
Yeah, this just wasn't a train of thought. This is all written down on this manuscript here.
Yeah.
That might not translate as me shuffling papers, might it?
No.
Okay, carry on, sorry.
So we joked about you becoming I joked about you becoming US president, and although there are rules that you don't subscribe to, you just believe that you can basically do what you want, when you want, how you want, to get what you want, right? So to ignore laws is to subscribe to anarchy. Then I immediately thought, can anarchy exist without laws? This goes back to my kind of thing, where as an example at work, if you want to offer flexibility, you need to have a bit of structure set for someone to go, oh, they're being quite flexible. Kind of get my drift, right? I've always thought that anarchy is just, imagine a bar brawl, right? Fists flying, things flying across, things being broken, people shouting, just general mess and nonsense, right? That's kind of what I see anarchy as. So I read this piece, which I'll link to. So anarchists contend that since humans are basically rational beings, they are naturally inclined to lead peaceful and harmonious lives. Indeed, anarchists believe that order can only develop naturally based on the positive features of human nature and natural social arrangements. This is all sounding not like the anarchy I was kind of brought up to believe. It cannot be created artificially by establishing governments or states. Thus, for anarchists, it is the coercive and corrupting impact of the state, with its imposed unnatural laws, that creates disorder by generating inequality and injustice, which kind of makes sense, and all the stuff we've been talking about with COVID and everything else. So the modern capitalist state, for example, will always encourage disorder because those oppressed by ruling class will attempt to overthrow the system. So could that really work? So maybe you don't need order and conformity in any society. Then I found this. Such a society would be based on some type of decentralised association of independent self-governing districts, where free and equal individuals would cooperate voluntarily and participate directly in decision-making. Under these arrangements, order would materialise naturally in a peaceful, stable and stateless society. I mean, this is sounding lovely, right? This is sounding like a society I want to live in. This type of social order is possible because in circumstances where hierarchical authority is removed, thereby eradicating competitive, antisocial and selfish behaviour, human nature is rational, social and cooperative. And this leads to the natural emergence of orderly existence. Nevertheless, critics maintain that, given humanity's capacity for selfishness, greed and aggression, anarchist arguments in favour of stateless, natural order societies are wholly unrealistic. I went through that going, this is really good. This could be really good. It's like, oh no, we're a bunch of arseholes, aren't we? So this could never happen.
No.
But I didn't realise that was kind of the idea of what an anarchist kind of movement or belief system could be. I just thought anarchy was like, right, let's go and do the opposite of that. But it's not, actually. It's just...
No, it's I've always seen it maybe in the middle between these. I've always seen it as the deconstruction of order, but not the destruction of things per se.
I always thought anarchy, the idea of living in anarchy would be the...
Although each day was just absolutely mad and crazy and you did what you wanted,
But it's not. So then you come back to actually you still need order, which is the whole point of what I'm saying here.
But not an order that's put on you. Is that the thing?
Yeah, but then you're into that, which is hopefully where will bring us nicely into the truth stuff. One order will be replaced by another. And then you're into that, Well, who are they to decide what the order
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
I'm not an anarchist. I'm just going to my job, doing my job, going home again, eating my tea in front of the TV and getting up and doing it all over again.
Yeah.
And I look up and suddenly all these people
Things
have
have changed.
overthrown the establishment, and there's a new order.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with what they, then you're into, well, that's their belief system, and your country is run by a belief system. So, and then you just back where you started, right?
Yeah.
Again, the Common Sense Committee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Who are we going to employ to be the Common Sense Committee? Do we need a Common Sense Committee to put in a Common Sense Committee? And we do need an independent Common Sense Committee that isn't bound by 5 years of being voted in or out, or they're not ever voted in or out. So the Common Sense Committee is a bunch of commonsensical people, but are basically self-governing, and decide that whatever they say goes, which pretty much is a...
And then you get into the position of power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that would happen with the Common Sense Committee. If what they said went, then power would.
Then you're getting into, should laws exist? Are laws, but what are laws based on? Moral, ethical, religious, whatever belief system you have. And we haven't got into philosophy yet, but then you start, as you've probably found with the truth stuff, you start to research, as you said earlier, and you just go, oh my days. I like to think we can kind of understand some stuff on this, but some of this is proper mind-bending, right?
Yeah. And from the bit that you've just described there, I'm going to totally put my hand up and go, I'm not even getting to the paddling stage of the sea of truth. It just, firstly, it's a ridiculous thing to think we can cover in 20 minutes. Yeah. And whatever we cover is either going to be totally inadequate or flawed. And so I think that's fine. It can be flawed.
Yeah. Because the anarchy thing probably sounds like quite a jump or quite a leap from what we've been talking about. But it isn't. But if you think about what we're talking about with COVID guidelines and what we're being told, what people are doing, and then you sent me that link this week where that copper was getting interviewed down by the beach.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the coppers spot a woman and their child turning up in their car, and they go over and ask them, and they've travelled 7 miles, so they come and walk on the beach, and then they get fined, right?
Yeah.
Then we're into, there's a law. The police of this isn't about the police, this is just about this subject of where you draw the line on law, where you draw the line on guidelines. What's a guideline? What's a law? Interpretation thereof, right? Those coppers probably did it by the book and took a judgment on 7 miles isn't local. Right, maybe, and we'll come to the observing bit in a minute, maybe because there's a camera crew there filming them, they had to lay the law down, because if they went, just go home,
or
it's probably best,
enjoy your walk,
go for a walk, but just, of course, you can see why they didn't do it, and then they look pretty sheepish on camera afterwards going, they didn't want to do it, did they? None of the police want to be doing that. But you are into interpretation, and I kind of asked a friend of mine who's in the force, and they said, I would say 7 miles local, I would have done it differently. So it's not about the law; it's about judgment.
Yes,
because local isn't a fixed distance.
If they
depends where you live.
If they'd driven 7 miles from McDonald's, number one, you could say that isn't essential. Although you could say, well, it is. It's food.
Yeah, I want to.
So food is essential.
Yeah.
If your local McDonald's is 7 miles away, then it is local.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Yeah. So obviously, of the two, and walking on a deserted beach with your daughter is less dangerous than the other. But that's where, as you say, guidelines, interpretation, all this comes into it. And I think that was the problem that when I was looking at the truth, when I was looking at the philosophical, and I look at Nietzsche a lot, and I'll read a couple of bits out. I don't want to do loads of reading out, but he did some bits around language and how language has an influence on truth. But as I was reading that and I was putting my own thoughts onto it, what I came to the conclusion was that to think of truth as this pure concept that people adhere to is a misnomer, because you couldn't survive. Nobody in any position of authority could survive, either professionally or whatever, just telling the truth. And then the second point of this is truth facts, or is truth our interpretation of circumstances? So something can be true to one person and not to another, and I think that's where we get into the difficulty, to see truth as some sort of pure concept that's almost measurable.
Well, the difficulty is because it's both of those things, and it's none of those things.
Yeah, true.
And everything. True, bro. So philosophy and truth. Philosophy helps us to deal with questions about what is and isn't true by encouraging us to stand back and look at the broader picture. It may not give us absolute truths, but it helps us shine a light on how we think about what is and isn't true. We might hold some beliefs and what the difference is between belief and evidence, which is exactly what you were just saying, isn't it? Belief and faith. So for a belief to exist, you need believers, which I thought was a nice one. That's really simple, but it's really obvious, isn't it? This is a relationship between a proposal about something and people believing in it. Dr. James Studd, a lecturer in philosophy of mathematics at the University of Oxford, says, "The earth was always round. That was always true. What's changed is the belief and knowledge about the earth. The earth didn't change. We did."
I read that. Yeah.
Good, isn't that?
Yeah.
And as an example, so for example, in terms of our food and our health, most people aren't in a position to tell if something is good or bad for them.
No.
So either they believe what feels right to them and what makes sense in their view, and we're back to the kind of their worldview and lived experience and that kind of thing, or if they look up the evidence and weigh it up themselves. And there's a bit in a minute about that. Believe it or not, doctors once thought smoking wasn't particularly harmful.
Well, even a step further than that, they actually thought it was beneficial to health.
Yeah, there's all those old posters, isn't there?
Yeah, especially like somehow I think when menthol came in, that was like taking up a step further, wasn't it?
Yeah, it'll stop you getting a cold or something. So now, thanks to science and evidence, we know the truth about smoking, but the truth hasn't changed.
No.
Smoking has always caused cancer in some smokers, just like now the earth hasn't always been round. This is a quote from Dr. Studd. "No one decides what is truth. We may come to know something about the world from gaining knowledge based on evidence." So basically, I asked the question, have you ever thought something was true, then later discovered it wasn't? What made you change your mind?
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things that might change your mind.
Yeah.
But someone coming along and telling you a new fact could be enough. But it might not be based on science, maths. It could be based on their worldview.
Yeah.
And if you think about that and expand that out, extrapolate that out into what we've got now.
So truth's a movable feast, in effect.
Yeah, but like you're
Your
saying,
personal truth.
that's what I was saying. It's one of each of those things and both of those things. That can be all those things at the same time. That you said at those two questions earlier. In terms of science and mathematics, would mathematics exist if people didn't? Did we create mathematical concepts to help us understand the world around us? Or is maths the native language of the universe itself? So maths teacher Jeff Dikovsky traces some famous arguments in this age-old debate. And there's a video which I found, which has got some questions, which I'll put a link to. But this is one of the quotes from the videos. So whether mathematics was discovered or invented, did we create mathematical concepts to help us understand the universe around us? Or is maths the native language of the universe itself, existing whether we find its truths or not? Are numbers, polygons, and equations truly real, or merely ethereal representations of some theoretical ideal? And then there's a whole bit which we haven't got. We haven't
got the time or the expertise.
We haven't got 1,000 years to talk about this.
No,
but they even go into the origins of numbers.
And I think when I talk about Nietzsche in a minute, some of his was around that language, and we did this a bit on the Orwellian thing about newspeak in 1984. That basically, I think, again, I might be wrong on this. But I think one of the tenets of Orwell's thoughts within 1984 was around, by taking away words, you can control the truth or the spread of information. So I think I've been trying to get 1984. It was sold out in a couple of places I looked, which is, I guess, not surprising, is it?
I suppose not.
But I think it was that bit about by continually reducing the number of words to make it easier to either contain the truth, maybe. If there's less ways, and this is what happened with the internet, isn't it? There's 100 ways to say everything now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back in the day, there was truth or false.
Yeah, there's only one thing that I was looking at about statistics, which one of those things just kind of prompted me to have a look around. And there's this quote from, and again, I put the links up to this Guardian article, and the quote was, "By their very nature, statistics can only be misused when the audience doesn't bother checking them. Statistics are just a numerical summary of evidence that's been collected. They give people the starting point to delve directly into that evidence and see if the arguments hold together." And of course, we've touched on all these things, haven't we?
Yeah.
And you go deep diving and stuff, and it's like, if you take, you rarely take a statistic at face value. It's like a red rag, isn't it? It's like a bit of red bunting to a bull, isn't it? For you, we go, right, now I'm going to have a look at that myself, and you go in, and within minutes, probably you're smashing it to pieces.
I mean, it came up on the course today. I was saying one of the things I was looking in terms of introspection a bit was that I've been made aware and become self-aware that I have a natural default of questioning either authority or questioning someone's statistics or facts,
Yeah.
or, my first thought is disprove that. And I found myself doing it today on the course. The facilitator put up, shared a slide on the vagus nerve, interesting, an absolutely beautiful
You're
picture of it.
Bring it on.
Yeah,
I know all about this.
Yeah. Try your best.
And then you went, shit, didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I didn't, because I hadn't realised it actually comes through to the mouth and the jaw and the eyes, the vagus nerve. I hadn't realised it came that way outwards as well.
How did the humble pie taste? All right, was it?
No, but by this time I hadn't been outspoken because I was being all calm. But the interesting thing was, and we will come on to this the other time, is that the thing on the course today was the half smile, and we have alluded to the half smile.
You've done it in the meditation that was on here.
Now I know that the vagus nerve comes out to the jaw and the lips. It now makes more sense because you're actually sending a physical representation or a physical message back to the brain.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this idea of telling your brain you've got a half smile, you don't have to be the sort of a great big laughter or anything like that. You're sending a message back. So yeah, that was quite eye-opening. Sorry, I interrupted.
Or jaw dropping.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of picked up on your natural. You just said your natural kind of responses to disprove.
Yeah.
You'd also get that's probably judgment. But that's actually not a bad. It's not a bad reflex, is it? To not take everything at face value.
Yeah,
Again,
as long as the
balance,
confirmation bias, though, that's the only one thing that's sort of happening a little bit now. I do find
in terms of going, I don't believe you because that doesn't subscribe to my narrative. Is that what you're saying?
People have to work harder, I think, now for me. I'm not closed to my mind.
But it is dangerous to go around just accepting what people are saying, isn't it? It is.
Yes.
And, we haven't kind of got into, what is our own truth. We've talked about thoughts as being facts, and we haven't kind of got into the, our own truth and what is true to us.
Yeah.
Whether it becomes an external communication to someone else or not.
Yes.
You don't have to, like you said, society wouldn't be where it was if everyone told the truth. There's some things we shouldn't know.
Yeah.
And we don't want to know because they'll either break down to society or they'll scare people.
Yeah.
The irony of the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Everyone's probably getting, scared by some truth and a whole lot of how shall I say it? You mentioned it a minute ago, that bending of language. Do we say? I'm not saying lies or or mistruths.
Or portrayal.
There is something there.
You can portray the same fact in two different ways.
Like I say in the statistics, it's like it's a representation of something. Then you get into how it's even collated and recorded in the first place, which I got a little bit on in a minute.
Commence system shutdown.
That was fun.
That was weird.
Yeah. That was the universe.
The universe has spoken to us. I think I started talking about the government bending truth.
Yeah.
And the whole Mac decided to reboot and install an update.
Yeah, and I was actually looking something about masks on my phone at the same time.
Yeah.
Still.
And now we've come back. We've put everything back. And now we're talking into the mics. And it doesn't sound the same.
No.
And you can only imagine what I'm feeling right now. Mr. High Level Production values.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep a lid on
Normally
it. That's all I'm saying.
You get a sweat because of clothing. Now it's just because...
Yeah, we might have to come back just away from the mic a little bit, I think.
Okay.
And not give it the gusto. Something's happened.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it.
No.
But we've got to get on with it.
Yeah.
Like the true professionals we are.
I'm sitting here watching you tapping keys as if to say, just cure it.
Yeah.
Like literally, just get this sorted now.
Yeah. You've been doing that, when you're kind of standing by a car mechanic.
Yeah, kicking the tyres.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the AA come out and they go, could you just hold this for a minute? And you go, you sort of look back to the other people in the car and go, it's basically him and me doing this now.
Yeah. I've been enrolled.
Yeah, hold this washer while I take your carburetor out.
Okay. Where were we, Mark? We've just had like a 35-minute...
Once upon a time, in some out-of-the-way corner of that universe, which is dispersed into numberless twinkling solar systems, there was a star upon which clever beasts invented knowing. That was the most arrogant and mendacious minute of world history. But nevertheless, it was only a minute. After nature had drawn a few breaths, the star cooled and congealed, and the clever beasts had to die. So Nietzsche painted that backdrop for the drama of truth.
All right.
I've read it a few times, and I think...
I must admit, I was trying to... I would think you could probably read that back to me 1,000 times and I'd still be looking at you like this.
Okay, well...
We were saying a minute ago, weren't we, that you suddenly start to get into the philosophy of truth.
Okay, so
and you need a massive brain.
This is what did it for me, was that introduction from him. This is what I understand he meant by that. You can have a paragraph like that, but you, as he said, you still wouldn't adequately illustrate how miserable, how shadowy and how transient, how aimless and arbitrary the human intellect looks within nature. And then that's the point, I think, that is something that consumes us. And we've been saying before around balance, social media is consumed with this pursuance of truth or fact or statistics, or in more cases, disproving truths. I think it actually works more that way now. It's almost to defeat other people, to take the rocks underneath other people and kick those away rather than even portraying your own. And so what he was saying is, when this is all over, despite the human intellect, nothing has actually happened. This intellect has no additional mission which would lead it beyond human life. But it is human, and only its possessor and begetter takes it so solemnly. And I think what he says is that we're so enthralled with our own importance around notions such as truth that we don't look at the whole entirety of nature. We just look at it as if it's focused on the me. Yeah. And he gives the example of a gnat flying, that the gnat also sees that universe revolving around itself. It doesn't take into account. It's just how it's affected by the truths and the nature around it. So the gnat centre of the universe is the gnat. Yeah. And man's centre of the universe is quest for spirituality and truth and belief and everything else. Mm-hmm. But in the whole magnitude of the world, it's just a transient thing. It's just an intellect that's been invented. Yeah. And he uses this quote, which summed it up for me, that even in the proudest of men, the philosopher supposes that he sees on all sides the eyes of the universe telescopically focused upon his action and thought. And there's this inward bit, I think, that the human race has of its own self-importance. And I think the pursuance of truth is sometimes that as we said, back on social media, I was just looking through this constant need to be reinforcing our beliefs as truths. And even when we know they're not, and even when we display something. So this is the thing I was going to display. And this is just, I like sort of having it as takeaways. Yeah. And we had to have something to do with COVID. So you and I were told off for not even saying that masks didn't protect you, but by showing a picture that said the holes in masks are bigger than the virus. That's all we did. And I think that is true, and I would stick with that. Yeah. But somebody else's truth was that wasn't true. And so I saw something recently about double masking, and the double masking has caused me to question a lot of things, because it was in April that Matt Hancock and I think Chris Whitty as well went, basically, unless you're a medic, forget about masks. Yeah. So the truth of that time, in terms of government and the advice we were given that masks made no difference, don't bother. Yeah. And also I saw a couple of things saying, and also there aren't very many of them, so don't be selfish and have them yourselves. Yeah. Leave them for people in health settings. Frontline, yeah. Protect the NHS. Mm-hmm. And then when masks changed and it became, actually forget what we said, the new truth is that masks do work. Yeah. And so that then became the new truth. And now the new truth is that 2 masks work better than one. Yeah. And I'm thinking, has this never occurred to someone in the past when we've had SARS and flu and other outbreaks, or when people have gone into, I don't know, working with people with highly contagious diseases? Has no one said, put a couple of masks on just to be on the safe side? And it's suddenly in this year, basically, double masks has become a thing. Yeah. And so I just dug a little bit deeper, as is my wont, and it's the CDC, which is the American... Can we just quickly look what it...
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Yeah, and so they've been very high on the double masks, and so they've done the research. Yeah. And so this is taken from somebody writing about their findings. In the CDC study, a medical procedure mask alone blocked 42% of particles from a simulated cough. Right. Now, I'm taking it that virus is probably the smallest of the particles.
Yeah.
Particles covers everything, I guess, like phlegm and spit and water and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I read that again. So a medical procedure mask, which is obviously, I would think, one of the better types, blocked 42%. Well, we showed a picture of a mask and suggested it might not stop everything from coming through, and we were told that wasn't true.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So the CDC now have said...
That stat basically says some gets through. Some stuff gets through.
42%. So not even half is stopped.
Yeah.
While a cloth mask alone blocked 44%, fairly equal. So in some ways it's saying if you have a face covering, about half of the particles from your mouth will be blocked.
Yeah.
A cloth mask covering a medical procedure mask blocked 92.5% of the cough particles. And
but also, just on that, there's just when I looked up the CDC, there's a little kind of diagram of someone with a mask, and it shows the kind of flow of I guess, breath and particles going out the side of the mat, as they do. And there's that video that we've seen of that guy in the minus 20 putting, every type of mask known to man on, and you can just see his breath just billowing out of the side of it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it probably prevents it going forward in, directionally. If I'm chatting, it's probably good, but it doesn't stop anyone stood to the side of me or probably behind me. That 42% is, if you think of it like degrees of like vision, how much 42% in what direction?
That's what's coming through the mask, isn't it? There's the other bits that aren't the mask. This is something I questioned in terms of truth.
Because if you're stood at my ear, you're going to be getting all of it.
Yeah, because there's always a big hole at the side of the mask. This is something I couldn't question, and I don't want to just go down the COVID route. What I'm saying is that it's a bit like your flat earth. Truth becomes a movable feast. What was true a year ago is now... so if you said to Matt Hancock, last April you said masks aren't that efficient, don't bother.
Yeah.
You believed that to be true.
Yeah.
Now you believe something else, and he could go, well, I've been given information that's led me to believe that.
I think the thing I've got from that is this is something new from where we were. It's a new truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a truth that is kind of undoing a truth that maybe we thought, in terms of we thought masks. I think if you asked everyone 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever, how effective do you think this is in percentage terms? You think with all the fuss going on, you think it'd be more than 42%.
Yeah.
But then, going back to the statistics, 42%, what is that based on? Is that based on what gets through, what doesn't?
Is that based on the size of the particles?
Yeah. What the actual kind of the measurement? What is it based on? Like I said, the angle of it coming out.
Yeah. But
it's just a number. I mean, how do you even get to that number?
Yeah.
Unless they show your work like you had to do in science. Like I said, I only got a B, but you had to show your workings. You needed a control so you could compare it against, and then you needed a set of methods and all that kind of thing. Someone just spits out a statistic.
Yeah.
And we've all got to take it as the absolute truth.
But this is what I'm saying about the truth.
You said, you've drilled down a bit and you've got more questions than you have answers.
Yeah. I mean, I've questioned the moon landings. I accept.
Have
you? Yeah. I do it subtly, so you probably didn't notice.
No, I hadn't. No.
But if they were true and we were able, back in 1969, put somebody on
allegedly.
Yeah. Although I did see something the other day from a conspiracy theorist that I was going to text this to you. So Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
Could be known as Neil A on his badge, because you might not have Armstrong. And you read that backwards.
It's too long,
yeah, you read that backwards. Alien. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Maybe that's a step too far.
Alien. Is that actually what he had on his jacket?
No.
Oh, come on.
It's not true. But it is true that
this is perfect.
Neil A is alien.
Yeah, well done, someone sitting around trying to work that one out. And then try and, put out a mistruth.
Yeah. The point I'm making, if back in the day we could get somebody on the moon, how can we find in a certain number of months a vaccine that is 95% effective in killing something that has caused the biggest pandemic for 100 years?
Yeah.
But we are unable to find a mask,
a face covering that
covers our face to stop this pandemic, that up until now, the one we've been using has an efficacy of 42%. That is mad. That can't be true. It can't be true that the human race cannot stop particles coming out of your mouth and reinfecting someone else, but we can get a rocket with somebody with a bloody golf club on the moon. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So again, the truth is how it's portrayed, or how, going back to your earlier point, how people believe it.
Yeah. Brain food, how's your training going? Because it feels to me like you've been trying different things.
Yeah.
And,
is this my question that I didn't know I was getting?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're there already. So any kind of anything you're kind of doing differently? Any standouts for any good results? Any surprising results? Because I think the thing that kind of felt like you're kind of doing a little bit more stuff around supersets and descending pyramids. I think you'll find like, oh, is that correct, Mark?
Yes, that
Any
is
reason why you're
correct.
kind of doing that? Are you finding a bit more benefit in those particular things?
I think if I take a step back, it's a really good question because it's. I was listening to a podcast on the way over, and it was Top Flight for Time Machine. Sorry, and the guy had been talking about his son, who's got his own podcast, and he had a sketch on there, and one of the characters' punchline is, "What is your objective?" And it became a repetition. So whatever circumstances he was in, he would say, "What's your objective?" And I was thinking, that's quite a good sort of mission statement for life as you get up in the morning. What is your objective? Yeah. So my objective was, I want to be physically bigger. I wanted to get beyond 12 stone. And I don't think I've been beyond 12 stone in my life. And the reason I wanted to do it is because I can't sprint anymore. I wanted to become focused on a physical activity that would help me mentally. And doing something purely for just doing its sake doesn't work. I do need, the question, what's my objective? So my objective was to put on weight, most of it muscle, but it didn't have to all be muscle. I just wanted to be bigger. I wanted to be bulkier. And so a lot of the things around PTs is this 80% in the kitchen, 20% in the gym. So I've increased certain things. I'm eating now more regularly, which is better for me. I'm enjoying food. I'm not eating loads of processed stuff, but I don't beat myself up if I have a cookie or some crisps or whatever it is. And I'm now up to about 11 stone 12. And what I think I've realised is that when I'm training, whether it's you or anybody else, there's thousands of different exercises that we could use. But the reality is that there's basic movements, and you've often gone on about the functionality of movements. So why are we constantly looking for something new? Sometimes just to mix something up or just to, try a little slightly different angle on your shoulders or whatever. But basically the basic push, pull and lift moves are the ones that are going to build you. And so I think what I'm doing, the only difference I'm doing is pushing my body not to shock it, because all this thing about, surprise your muscles. And I don't believe in that. I believe you just do good lifting. You get stronger and stronger. You can gauge how strong you're getting. Listening back to a few pods to see how we sounded. One of the things that you said you'd really enjoyed was sarcopenia, and that we hadn't revisited it.
True, yeah.
And what I've worked out is I'm losing muscle mass every year. Nature is taking that away from me. And therefore I actively have to work to keep a constant muscle mass, and I have to work even harder
every year.
To increase my muscle mass. In the same way that we've mentioned before, intuitive eating, I think it's intuitive training. So one of the things you might have noticed from some of my Insta stories, a couple of things I've been putting up, I've been writing up what I'm going to do in terms of numbers. So the other day it was 360 press-ups in a session. And I think what I'm doing now is getting my body to a point where it works so effectively and so efficiently at each session that I intuitively know that I've done the right things. But like yesterday, I didn't train yesterday. I was really tired yesterday and I had training planned, but I've now shifted. My body said, like, you've worked really hard for 4 days. Just do nothing today. So I think, it's more intuition. It isn't just going, I'm going to do six sets of 8. If on the 6th set I've still got room to spurn, I won't be constricted by going, you said you were going to do 8, you've done your 8, now finish. If I can do 11 or whatever, I'll do. So I think it's intuition, it's listening to my body. The gains are good and I'm happy.
Cool.
It's just, I think it's just that it should be enjoyable. If it isn't enjoyable, it won't be sustainable. So the focus has to be, I guess, I've got an aim how I want to be, how I want to look, how strong I want to be. But I want to make sure that the 50 minutes every day I put in the gym is an enjoyable experience. Because once the enjoyment stops, you're not going to go in. You'll find excuses to do something else.
Mailbag. I got an email from a resident army captain.
Bless him.
In relation to the last episode and the interview with Joe. He said, you've got some very intelligent friends. Joe is amazing. Love the coats analogy. In my 61 years, I have worn a lot of coats, he says. And it's probably only in the last 6 years that I've started to take some of them off. Serendipity is probably my favourite word. And I found this last night. So he's got this little quote. He likes to send quotes. Know what sparks the light in you so that you, in your own way, can illuminate the world. It was quite nice. And she could easily write a book, probably more than one. Please keep up the good work. Cheers, Captain.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to that question.
What, are you floored by my question?
I'm floored by my lack of answer. It's really strange. I'm really...
Well, it's probably because we haven't... Has anyone asked you how it's how your training's going?
I've been training. My first gym membership was in 1977, so I've had 43 years of gym membership. I should be able to explain quite fluently why I've chosen how I'm training, and I can't.
Okay.
It's fine, but I think I just want to come back and just go, it is this intuition thing. It's only when I've vocalised it, I've realised how I'm training now is what feels right for me. And I hadn't realised that till you asked the question.
Do you think there's not enough of that, maybe? It's relentless, isn't it?
Yeah.
What everybody's doing, all these techniques, all these programs. Does anyone really come up and go, just do what you feel when you turn, Is that valid, or is it not kind of cool, or is it not kind of the thing to do? You've got to go in and know what you... It's all about the goals and objectives. Rather than just going, I'm going to do this today.
Yeah. Very, very briefly, just going back. I mentioned in the last part of the pod before, Amelia had posted something around calorie deficit. And I know that not all PTs agree with that.
Yeah, we put it on our thing, didn't we?
And not all people agree with it. And I know there's been a few things on social media around a number of things, not just about calories, but around things like body positivity and stuff like that. And I've read one or two posts that have sort of said, life's too short to be counting calories. And, if you've had a good workout and you fancy a Domino's, have a Domino's. And, don't beat yourself up for having chocolate biscuits and, all that sort of thing. And I think what's sometimes happening is that people are being almost so nice that you take away that discipline of that intuition that goes, actually, if you can feel comfortable in your own body, and it doesn't matter what weight it is, but the majority of people that come to me would like their body to be different. They might want to be bigger, they might want to be smaller.
For whatever reason, right?
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think the point I'm making is that as professionals, if we just go, as long as you're happy, that's all right, that's more of a mental health issue. Yeah. Now that's connected with physical health.
There's a little bit of, back to the truth here, not addressing the truth. Yes. So if you are overweight, or you've got something that isn't healthy of mind or of body, you've got to flag it, haven't you, as a PT, as someone who's kind of worried about those things. You've got to want to be interested in being the healthiest you can be. Yeah. Just what you said about the calorie deficit thing. People may not agree, and it's fine. You don't have to agree with fact. Yeah. It's a fact. Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. The calorie deficit thing is a fact. And there's lots of spin-offs and things around that, but the fundamental, the basics of that, and which is what Mealy starts off with that explanation. Yeah. Fact.
It isn't a judgment, and I think that's
but it's also okay to go, I don't really agree with that.
My perception at the moment about body positivity is it tends to be more aimed at women than men, and women saying, I'm positive about my body. I might not fit social norms, I might be a size whatever, but I'm positive and I'm happy, and this is how I want to look, and I'm not going to make any excuse, and I'm not going to conform. Not 1 ounce of me is going to disagree with that. Yeah. But if someone who was 22 stone came to me and said, I would like to be trained by you, going back to that question, what is your objective? If your objective is to stay at the weight you are, then I will train you with a maintenance, of calories. Sure. But if someone comes to me, I don't want to go, well, as long as you're happy, or just eat what you want to do. Because if their objective, no matter how positive they feel, is to lose a certain amount of weight, it is incumbent upon me to give them the advice that will get them there. Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm thinking is happening on social media at the moment is that people aren't prepared to sometimes say something that's factual for fear of it being seen as judgmental. Yeah. And I've just saw something...
and offending,
Yeah. I saw something today about how obesity and something else were now responsible for more death than smoking. And if someone came to me and was smoking, I would advise them not to smoke. Yeah. Yeah. So it has to be the same around obesity and diet.
Yeah. So just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Yes. I was considering what you'd asked me, and I was thinking, I have an objective, and every single one of my clients has an objective. Yeah. And I give them what I consider the best advice possible.
I think it's important. You're pissing in the wind otherwise, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFinecast, and send your feedback and ideas to imfinecast@gmail.com. If you're enjoying this pod and feel you're getting something out of it, then please do make sure you subscribe to us, give us a 5-star review if on Apple Podcast, and tell a friend or two. All right, well, hopefully I can go away and sort this sound.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not been sounding great in our ears, has it?
No.
I'm just praying.
I think it threw us a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it has a little bit, and I just hope it's going to be up to the standards everyone is expecting by next
Your
pod.
standards.
So, right, let's go away and fix that.
Yeah.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.